When we think of Montreal as a whole, we think of its expansive buildings and overarching underground networks, where millions of people live their daily lives. A city so complex and beautiful that makes you wonder, how much more does this place have to offer? There are many things to be uncovered down here in the underground city, so we decided to explore the world's largest underground network. We started our journey right here in the Eden Center with little expectation. A 49-year-old mall where anyone who lives here knows what it is and has been in it. Clothing stores, restaurants, hobby shops, all these places really represent a staple in Montreal's urban identity. Going further down the Reso and passing through the exit of a restaurant, we come across Ville-Marie, a borough in Centreville and the famous Ring landmark. We took some time to appreciate the art, and it was a much more interesting sight, but not much of a difference to what we had seen previously. But passing by these neon lights, things started to get a bit weirder. It's as if the colors in these hallways started to lose itself and creativity became a linear process. So we decided to call in on a professional.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Tom. I call myself the Montreal Expert. I'm obsessed with the city. I'm obsessed with its history. I'm obsessed with what is Montreal today. What are we all about?
For over 10 years, Tom Saverite has garnered over 70,000 followers, serving as a focal point for Montreal's history, culture, and identity, educating us on the very soil we live in.
The underground city of Montreal is a network of a bunch of connected buildings, all interconnected either through underground passageways or sometimes sky bridges or ground level passageways. But it's a bunch of the most important buildings in the city, all interconnected so that you can get from one to the other without having to go outside. And it also connects to transit like the metro, the trains, the REM, and it makes this big network that is currently the biggest network of its kind in the world.
Following our journey, we find ourselves in the twilight zone between the 1000 and Place Bonaventure, where things took a strange turn. Hallways that feel endless and lacking color. The sound of humming lights flooding entire rooms. For the first time in Montreal, we felt truly alone. But then we had Bloom, a recurring character in the form of a flower that has been following us since the beginning.
Bloom, it's so funny we're talking about that right here because there's a thing about him right on the other side of the street here. Bloom is it's an artistic representation of Montreal at large, I think. Montreal is an artsy city, and so they often collaborate with artists to decorate parts of the city, and that's exactly what Bloom is.
Our interaction with Bloom was short-lived as we made our way to the World Trade Center, a massive mixed-use complex where its distinct rural city block aesthetic stands out from the rest. It was a very weird sensation to realize that we were inside a building and not on the street. We even saw a piece of the Berlin Wall. The World Trade Center also holds its place in history as a part of the reason why this network exists in the first place.
I think I like the idea that it had its origins in the fact that we have a mountain in the middle of the city. So you think the underground city, what does it have to do with the mountain? The mountain was like kind of a natural barrier for people to get around town. So at one point they built a tunnel through the mountain for trains. And when the trains came out on the downtown side, they built a little train station with office buildings nearby, but they had to cover those train tracks. And the buildings that covered those tracks are the buildings that invented the underground city underneath. So I think it's cool that the origin story has nothing to do with our climate, because everyone thinks we have it because of our cold climate. That's just an advantage.
Exiting the indoor city block, we find ourselves in Palais des Congrès, a major convention center that ranks as the top venue for hosting international association events in the Americas, such as Comic-Con, the One Young World Summit, and many others. At the end of our journey, we reached Complexe Desjardins, a callback to the many shops and malls that we've seen throughout. Looking at them, we ask ourselves, what makes these tunnels one of a kind?
There are a bunch of other cities that have stuff like this. Montreal's is the first one to really gain a lot of international media and hype. But since Montreal's kind of started in the 1960s, there's been a bunch of others that have kind of copied the model. You don't need to go far, just go to Toronto and you'll see a whole other network there called the Path Network, which is pretty much the same size as the one of Montreal. A lot of differences. The differences can be subtle for people who don't really study this type of stuff, but there's other ones in Chicago, there's ones in Calgary, there's ones in cities all over the world. There's even some in Texas. So it's not unique to Montreal. The way the Montreal one expanded and grew is a unique story.
Getting out of these tunnels left us with a newfound appreciation for the city. The beauty in these decrepit metro walls to the vast liminal hallways of the office buildings reminds us of the work that was put in to build the city we know today. It also gave us a chance to step back and look at the urban life around us and how so many people live their lives. We always tend to look and worry about the future and where it would lead us, but never take the time to take a break and experience the city as not just a place you work in, but as a place you live in.